She's the midnight mistress of fairies and dark mischief. He's the paranormal beacon of mystic fairs and government leaking. If the dark side had a prom, they would be the king and queen. They live the metaphysical and make a wicked awesome team. From every single culture in every corner of the globe, they creep the lore and legends just to keep you in the know. For some it's hyperbole, fantastical and myth. For them it's all too real and your paradigm will shift. It's forever Halloween with all treats and no tricks. He's got a thing for witches and she's all Stevie Nicks. So welcome to our carnival of the weird and the bizarre, where UFOs and curses take shape beneath the stars. Sit back, relax, open your mind and stay a few. It's time for John and Stacey, and do we have something for you? Welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow with your host, John and Stacey Edwards of ParanormalSideshow.com. Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello. And
we just had a candle explode.
We did.
Crazy. Just sitting here getting ready for the show, and going smooth. Everything's going smooth. We had a bit of snow, so earlier we were going to record, and we had a madman again outside. Different madman. This one was in his actual plowing not only his area but the neighbor's area and the other neighbor's area and the road that the state will come and do themselves, obviously, in the city.
Well, it was an emergency. It snowed all of
3 inches.
2 or 3 inches. Yeah. I mean, he needed to get on that.
It just makes those. It's like this guy. I only envision this guy who hates his family, his life, his dog. He looks at his dog and just always sighing, And as soon as it snows, it's his opportunity. It's his chance. Not only does he get to go outside, but I bet it annoys his wife. I bet she's like, could you please not do that?
It's the loudest machine ever.
It makes the dog howl. Please don't do it. So as soon as he goes outside, the dog howls the whole time, and he just sits and laughs.
Probably. He does circles in the driveway.
As he does everybody's. I mean, this guy gets the snow out of here. You could use him to clear like Hollywood sets.
And the little machine, it's not really a plow so much as a drivable snowblower. Like you drive it and it blows the snow out of the top over into the yard.
Oh, yes. So it's so great.
It's insane.
So anyway, we couldn't record when that was on because as studio as our studio is, and it's pretty studio, the problem is when there's a freaking plow outside, you're still going to hear... So obviously we didn't do it, but that's fine because hey, if we had done it then, our candle wouldn't explode.
That's true. It's your fault that the candle broke.
It's the bay leaves.
Yes, you can't stuff a bunch of bay leaves down in a glass candle and light them and
it still makes
it not to.
It still makes you pee a bit when you're sitting here and the glass flies across the room.
Yes,
it's kind of creepy. So we're on a diet again.
We are,
and
gotta lose a little pound.
That's like a pound for you because you're skinny. For me, it's more like 15 pounds. But
I would like to lose like 8 pounds.
I don't know, man. I store it up. I go. The funny thing is, I should have just been a UFC fighter because I can lose it if I'm dedicated. I can lose it in 2 days.
Well, it's really funny with you because you're like, I'm going to go on a diet, and you do kind of go on a diet. But then when it's like, when push comes to shove and you got to have those pounds off in 3 days, you're like, okay. And you just drop it like that. I don't even know how you do it. It's amazing.
What you're saying is you say, you're being nice right now. And thank you for being nice. But I say I'm going to go on a diet. I'm somewhat on a diet.
Yes.
Because I'm inconveniently eating things I don't like to eat sometimes.
Something like that.
But then on certain days, I'm just like, see y'all, bitches. I'm going to eat me some food. Get in my belly. Let's go eat all the food everywhere. 4 meals a day, y'all. Let's go to Red Robin twice.
Oh, God, Red Robin.
Then the mega milkshake 2 times this week.
I know.
Oh, it's so good. But, there was something else that happened this week. And I don't think this is cheating.
Okay.
I don't think this is cheating. we went to the beach.
We did.
And we live really close to the beach, to be fair.
Yes.
And something about, we went there not expecting anything to be open, because where we live, in the South Pole of the North, people only open their restaurants during the spring and the summer.
So, and we're talking about Old Orchard Beach, like touristy destination, closed in the off season. We really expected to go down there and kind of have the beach to ourselves.
Yeah.
And not really that much open.
Yeah, we only went there for the dock,
Right.
and the pier and everything, and just to show the baby the ocean, hold him up, and it's like, hey, and all that good stuff. So we went down there, and I'll be damned if it wasn't, if the pier fries wasn't open. If the pier fries had been open, I would currently weigh 30 pounds more. But there was a pizza joint open, and I don't know what it is about beach pizza. Anybody on here knows what I'm talking about. Why is beach pizza so good?
I don't know.
What do they do to it at the beach that makes it so good?
We ate a whole pizza.
Yeah, I know.
A whole pizza.
I know. But it's beach pizza. So I don't think, it's like zip code stuff. It's not really cheating, right?
If you're not in your own zip code.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like if you're at the beach, there's no rules.
I think that's how it works.
And I think we accept that.
And I think when you're out on a day trip to the beach and you eat beach pizza, the calories just don't count.
I just don't think they do it. I really don't think so, because it's so good.
Yeah. Nothing that delicious can be bad for you,
Oh
right?
my God. It's just the grease. It's so hot and it's so good.
You just have to wait in line. There's no tables or anything. You just go to the window.
Yeah, it's so
Cash
funny.
only.
Because only at the beach are you okay with the fact that there may be dirt on your pizza, and you're gonna have to wipe your hands on your butt,
And there's gonna be some sand in there somewhere.
And there's no ice in your drink. It's hot. You don't give a crap. But that pizza, once it hits your lips, you're just like, pizza.
I tell you, I was really surprised when we went down there. It was actually a lot of people there.
Yeah,
a lot
it was.
of local people, because what they did was they took, where it had been snowing and stuff. Most of the snow was gone.
People not from up here will not understand this.
Well, they plowed all the snow into
You have to put the snow somewhere.
They plowed it all into the middle of one street and stacked it up really high, and they made it into a sled run for kids. And that was like the only snow in the whole town.
See, here's what people like below, I would have to say below New England. You're not going to get this. You just don't know. There's some places like North Dakota. I mean, there's places throughout the United States. And some of our other listeners, like right now, Alan Turner is currently in Germany flipping off his podcast listening machine, going, listen, mate, I'm driving on it right now. But what happens in these regions is they have to plow this snow when they get 3 feet of snow, and they get another 3 feet of snow and another 2 feet of snow. Right. Basically, when it hits the winter season, there's snow on the ground, and that snow is on the ground.
Right.
That snow pack is on the ground until freaking summer.
Right.
I mean, it's just there, buddy. We had a couple days this past week, 60 degrees. You know what? There's still snow out there.
There is.
And of course, it snowed again, and it's no big deal for us. Like 3-4 inches, that's a dusting. It's no big deal. But the snow, they have to do something with it.
Right.
And so what they do, because you'll have the snow all winter long, they got smart and they made the slalom or whatever the heck it was.
It was really cool. Kids all over the place. They had a little petting zoo.
Yeah, they did.
I fed a llama.
You did feed a llama.
And then used tons of hand sanitizer.
And I stared at a goat, because goats are evil sides of the devil.
I'm telling you, their eyes are weird.
They are weird.
Goats are so cute, but they got the creepiest eyes with the little slits.
I don't think they're cute at all. There's something bothers me about them.
The little tiny ones are, like the little pygmy goats.
I'll tell you what's cute is llamas. Like I didn't have an affinity for llamas until we fed the llama, and then like 10 llamas showed up, and
they made that weird noise.
Yeah. It's just like, it's like the cutest little.
You got the cutest picture though. I'm gonna have to post that picture of the llama.
The llama that was actually trying to eat my face. Yeah,
but
I took a picture of it. It looks all sweet, but it was more like me.
It looked like it was smiling at you.
Me. It's like, get away from me. I mean, it was $1 a cup for food, and what do I say? Okay. But it was a good time, and like I said, back to that diet. We're doing it for a reason. As we teased, as we notoriously teased last week, we're doing it for a reason. And it's funny, speaking of reasons, we've had an amazing number I talked about it a couple weeks ago about all the people that have reached out to us.
Yes.
Okay. And I started talking about it because it's just become this crazy thing that's happened. It's wonderful. And for 8 years, we've had people reach out to us. We've made a lot of our friends that way. And so we go to, having a few dozen a week to having a few dozen a day. And, it just gets crazier and crazier. This past week was probably the heaviest mail week.
I've actually have people that send me stories and stuff now, like story ideas and links and things, which is great. That just makes it so much easier for me.
Oh no, it's awesome. Our boots on the ground team out there, which is what I consider them, our team of that I I have a little affectionate name of sideshow offs. Come on, I like it. It's the sideshow offs. But we've really got a great team out there of people that are telling us, I like hearing the stories from people's experience, because everybody has a story.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody has a best-selling paranormal book in their story, in their life story. And even your most stringent skeptic has a story.
Right.
There's an uncle, there's a cousin, there's someone twice removed that has a story that this person has. And it's shifted them a bit. But interesting question I had this week was, with as much as you work and the kind of job, because obviously we've talked about it before, and I tried putting the hours. It's hard to put with the kind of job that I do at my Bruce Wayne job. It's hard to put a time on it because I'm always on the clock. Right. And I know there's a lot of people that do jobs that are on here right now listening that know what I'm talking about. You're always on, whether you're salary, whether you're a doctor, whatever it is, you're always on the clock. Right. And that's the kind of job. There's a lot of people that depend on me, and I take it very serious. And so I would say you're looking at 60 a week, easy. Just from the time that I'm in front of a computer to the time I put a computer away. But the reality of it is it's all the time. But I've got a mind that requires sustenance. It's kind of like Sherlock Holmes. Watson would only get worried about Sherlock when they didn't have a case. Right. Because that's when
there's anything he could do.
Yeah, that's when he got into the trouble.
Right.
And it's the same thing with me. So I have to have things that energize my mind and
things to occupy you.
Oh yeah,
occupy your time and put your focus on.
I'm a dreamer and a thinker. So somebody asked me, they're like, well, with what you do, with the time that you do it, what's some of the things that keep you driven and to do this week after week after week? And I was like, well, there's actually probably way more than 10 paradigm shifting things that have become solid facts to me over the years. And and Stacey and I were talking about these before air, and it wasn't something we had really planned on going into, but it was just kind of funny. Some of the things that when we started this, you got to remember, when we started doing the show 8 years ago, we actually had already been doing the paranormal, if you will, since 97. So we had already been doing it for well over 10 years as far as being inside the paranormal, going on investigations, having teams, throwing teams away, having new teams, that kind of stuff. Right. Moving from haunted house to haunted house and having our own experiences. That had always been the thing. And when we started doing the podcast and started doing the news weekly, and scouring the world for everything we could.
Interesting stories.
It's funny because through talking with people that are listeners and become friends and whatnot, and their stories, and the news stories we do, and then the news stories that pop up again, there really are these amazing paradigm shifting reasons that drive us and encourage us and keep us going. So I put together a little list, and a little shout out to little Tim Clark from the old days of Haunted South. And Tim would have his top 10 list for us every week.
I loved Tim's top 10.
They were great.
I loved his top 10s. They were awesome.
They were always great. They were always very thoughtful.
So this is going to be like top 10 things that were so amazing but are kind of normal to us now. Is that what you're kind of saying?
It's like what has been normalized.
Okay.
Like the top 10 strange things that are now normalized. I don't know. Number 10, and this is just after doing this show.
Right, for us.
Yeah, for us. So number 10, really, would be there's still an amazing amount of mysteries into our planet, and crazy sightings, winged creatures, men in black, UFOs, and really, it comes from a point. I put that on there because when we started doing this, I had no idea, and we knew there was mysteries and magical things in every little town, and everybody had their own little story, and for years I've always said everybody has a bestseller in them, but this really was a next level stuff when Stacey started digging the news, and we started doing this weekly. Just a crazy amount of strange stories in villages, and
oh yeah, and the amazing amount of things that they discovered that they never knew before, and just amazing things like that, and pushing all the history back, and
right,
and
which I'll get to on that, But number 9, waking up, which hashtag waking up, going through your awakening, your spiritual awakening, and even waking up to other things, conspiracy wise, is exactly like coming out of the Matrix.
It really is.
I mean, it is exactly like taking the red pill. It's so crazy the different way you look at things when you
are aware,
and it's almost like you're in a different club. You see people going through their sheep mentality, and you've got the Roddy Piper they live glasses on, and you're seeing it for what it is,
right?
And there's others. But it's really cool, and it's funny when you play your part still, and you obey and do the things you're supposed to do, but still but and you've got to play your part, right?
You do have to play your part,
but at the same time it's nice when Number 8, there's no such thing as a coincidence.
Definitely not.
Said it many times, never believed it more than I do after doing this show for so long, and every time you think there's a coincidence, you see that there's a reason that happened.
Yes.
When we're out doing these little adventures of ours, a lot of times something will happen earlier in the day,
right,
that sets up for something that happens to us at 1 a.m.
Yes.
And it's so crazy, but it's so true.
And after that kind of stuff happens to you so many times, you got to really question the coincidence thing. This can't all just be coincidence.
Right. No, if it is, it's really cool. Number 7, tinfoil hats are a code word for, sir, I think they're on to us. Things that were considered tinfoil hat moments and tinfoil hat deals back when we started this even have completely changed and are not that way now. But the accidents that happen with UFO researchers and conspiracy researchers, there's books about it by, I think Nick Redfern has a book about it. It's very terrifying.
It is.
You see a lot of things when there's whistleblowers that they go away. It can be dangerous, and obviously, I don't think stuff would happen to people if there wasn't a reason to hide something.
Right.
But the government does listen. They listen to conspiracy shows. They listen, oddly enough, to UFO shows. And, sometimes your stuff might mess up when you're trying to do stuff. And sometimes you might look in your iPhone and see
that you've been logged in weird places.
Logged in from strange places in Virginia or strange places in other areas. I won't get into it. But number 6, if you don't believe that there's a possibility of UFOs and aliens, after all the planetary discoveries over the past 8 years, it's completely redefined what was supposed to be the truth 8 years ago when we started doing this. It's completely different now. Like the Earth-like planets, the Goldilocks zone planets, the water in the universe. All this was just a fantasy, Well,
I mean, even down to the government researching UFOs.
Right.
I mean,
right.
All that's different now.
Which now we know is the truth.
Exactly.
I mean, now we know it's the truth. And there's supposed to be another video getting ready to pop out.
And there's supposed to be that warehouse with the weird metal and all that crazy stuff. They kind of glossed over that.
Yeah. And you didn't gloss over it, though.
No, that was the thing that stuck out to me.
Yeah, that was your Warehouse 13 moment.
Hello, awake.
Yes. There you go. Number 4, scientists are in an eternal state of baffled.
They most certainly are.
I
think that's like one of the requirements for becoming a scientist. Like when you're in college, you have to like prove that you can be baffled before they'll let you be a scientist.
It's kind of funny. We were talking about t-shirts and on our little t-shirt store, that's my new t-shirt that you can go buy right now. I don't ever push anything, but I am pushing the scientist or baffled shirt. So it's simple, but it's a little paranormal sideshow love. I had to put that one out there, but the scientists are baffled, just because they are. It's just so many stories. So many stories.
Yeah, I think we got a couple of other ones in there where astronomers were puzzled and archaeologists were stumped.
Yes,
but mostly scientists are baffled.
It's just humorous after you read it for the 200th time.
Yes.
It's just kind of funny. Number 3, sinkholes and fireballs. I don't think I have to say anything else.
I don't think so.
I mean, come on. I don't know how many stories. I don't, but it's so weird because it wasn't like that before.
It's so many that we don't even do the stories very much anymore because it's just like normal. Like you're flipping through the news, you're like, sinkhole, fireball, sinkhole, mysterious boom, fireball, sinkhole.
No, I wouldn't say that. Number 2, humans have done this dance before.
Yes, I do agree with that.
I believe that most of what you hear from conventional science and conventional history books is completely caca.
No.
And let me explain. Other than the fact we're always changing, pushing back everything from how humans migrated to North America, changing that up, that was fact, to how old humans are, to how long they've been here, when they coexisted with this or that.
And how advanced they were in the past.
Exactly, how advanced they were, because, and then you look at the tools they would have to use. You look at the universal things that are in all these pyramids with the with the latches and I mean it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, all the things that are the same but are all over the world.
All over the world. And then you look at some of the real dates, what some of the real dates could be. I honestly think that we've done this probably 3 times. I think that one time it had to be very high technology. I believe we had energy. I believe it's just like you remember that nuclear reactor they found? We did a story like 2 years ago. There was this natural nuclear reactor. And it was,
I vaguely remember.
Yeah,
that.
It was made in the rocks, right? And they were like, they quickly got rid of this story, but
sure.
This is one of the things that comes in my mind. And they had this. It was supposedly natural. It just had the right amount of all the things they needed, but it was too pure. Like scientists were like, you know what? There's no way that could be there. There's no way you would have that. It would be too pure. And we need to look this one up again to see if anything was there. Okay. But they were just like, it happened naturally. Really. It's like all the deserts of glass.
It's a rare thing, but it happened.
All the deserts of glass, all the freaking cannonball looking things all over the United States, all over the world that seem to have came around 13,000 BC or whatever. And it's just crazy. And if you just watch the nightly news and you just do your 9 to 5 and you don't really pay attention and you just watch This Is Us and you go to bed, right? You're not going to see this. You're not going to notice this because no one puts it out there. It's not in National Geographic. Right. It's not anywhere unless you look for it. But then you find real scientific studies where they've really done this. And they've really looked at this, really researched this. They're like, holy cow, this is crazy. Or they find these new structures where they didn't know there were structures, where they thought it was always jungle, always. And like, oh, hey, the Amazon was probably... very advanced at one time.
Yeah. Oh, and they just didn't walk around and drag their knuckles and they had a society. Wow.
Exactly. I'm not sure they ever dragged their knuckles.
I know. It's just an example.
I know. So this is one of the bigger ones for me. Over this time has been the fact of it keeps getting pushed back, and I think we keep finding things that we're supposed to find. Right. I think that we're getting close to an answer we need to have. And I truly think that somebody knows already.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think that they know this, but they're worried about control. And not to get too deep into that, but if you lose that, because control is an illusion. The fact that we might think that we're in control is totally an illusion.
Yeah, I agree.
And
we have free will, but we're not in control.
Right.
And I really think they don't want to lose that. Even from the very youngest, you're indoctrinated into fearing certain things, repercussion for those beliefs. And, whether that's right or wrong, it's there.
Right.
Okay. But I really don't think that they, again, want to lose that. Right. So they like to hold that over you. It's just that carrot, really, of prosperity. And if you mess that up, your chances are completely gone. So I don't know. It's one of the things that's got me. I think we've done this before. I think that we've done it several times. And I think we did it. I think there was maybe some catastrophes, and I don't know if they were on purpose or not.
I'm sure if it was humans, they caused it themselves, and then just ended up having to start over.
And the number one thing for me through these 8 years, mysterious booms.
Of course it is.
And why in the heck we're not talking about them?
I mean, we're talking about
No, I know
them.
we're talking about them.
But yeah, and you see a story here and there on local news, but still.
It's always local news.
Yeah.
It's always local news. And you know what? In 2010, we were doing mysterious boom stories.
We were.
In 2010, I had as much information on them as I do now.
Yep.
Now, obviously, I've gotten more information as far as how many times I've heard them, seen them, have accounts of them. But as far as what they are, scientists are baffled.
Of course they are.
And I have no information, and that makes me really upset because it's such a phenomenon. It's so crazy. And I throw the sky trumpets in with that. Obviously, we had our own sky trumpet ordeal that we experienced. And oddly enough, in the same town we live in, a year before, there was mysterious booms here.
They still haven't explained that.
They haven't explained that. So, it's just weird. It's just really strange. And we've talked about this so much that you can find several episodes discussing, and there's no real information you're going to get from us other than it makes us upset that there's not a bigger discussion going on about what is causing these sounds and what is causing, houses to shake, what is causing, and people, they come up with stupid things, but then they go away. And even the government, they don't give you anything because they're like, we know it's not a sonic boom. They know.
We swear it wasn't us.
Because like you say, when they do know, they tell you real quick.
Yeah, like 30 minutes. They're like, oh, no, excuse us. That was us.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
Yeah, that was us. Excuse me. So all the times, like 98% of these don't get explained.
No, exactly. And then they just get swept under the rug or filed away, or people just forget about it.
I know a lot of people now are starting to pick up a little momentum and talking about it in our community, and community being the paranormal and the weird and stuff. But I would like to go on record as being OGs on talking about mysterious booms. That was our baby from early on.
Yes.
So
we have talked about that for quite some time.
Yeah, I want people to talk about it. I want everybody to talk about it. But it's been driving me freaking insane for a long time. So,
well, hopefully one day you'll get your answer.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to get my answer in the middle of the night while I'm tied up in the back of a CIA van. And right
before they shoot you in the head.
Yeah, right before they shoot you. They're just going to be like, by the way.
You know what would be really mean?
It was Elvis.
If they were going to tell you but shot you right before they finished the sentence.
Yeah, by mistake. I would get the new guy, Trevor. He would accidentally, accidentally Trevor would shoot me.
And they're like, damn it, Trevor, we were going to tell him.
Yeah, because they're going to be like, because they got to smoke.
Of course they do.
They'd be like, because they have
it's a stressful job.
Well, they have the cigarettes that don't cause cancer. It's a government thing, because they put that stuff in the cigarettes. And,
right.
But so they're like, Mr. Edwards. Mr. Edwards, so what we're going to offer you is one answer.
Is this the CIA or the mafia now?
It's one answer. You give one question, we give one answer. Mr. Edwards, what do you want to know? Do you want to know who shot Kennedy? I know who shot Kennedy. It was probably that guy over there. I know why. No. Don't upset us. Or what? You're going to throw me in a van at 3 a.m.? What do you want to know? Do you want to know about aliens? I already know about that too. That guy over there is probably an alien. The guy who gave the gun to that guy to shoot Kennedy. All right, smartass. What do you want to know? And my answer is going to be, I want to know about the booms. Just the booms, baby. Nothing but the booms. Let me know about the booms. I don't care if they get Ray Boom Boom Mancini to come out and tell me. I just need to know about the booms. And it's it bothers me. But yeah, that's my CIA fantasy.
I thought fantasies were supposed to be good. I believe you're going to die at the end of that one.
Well, only because Trevor has a shaky hand. There's always a chance that Trevor won't have a shaky hand, but unfortunately, in my long, illustrious business career, there's always a Trevor, and he normally works for me.
Trevor won't even get fired.
No, Trevor's the guy who meets my boss when my boss is in town. I'll have 16 stores of perfection.
Right.
Just running perfection. Incredible. Everybody knows their numbers. They know their business. They know everything. They're the best with customer service.
They have all the answers.
Everything's clean. We go to the one store that Trevor's working in. He's going to be the one that picks his nose right before he shakes his hand, or he's going to be the one that
forgot his shoes or
something. Yeah,
or...
wearing the blaze orange shoes with that attitude.
Right.
You know, what? What's wrong? I didn't know what's wrong. My shirt hadn't showed up yet. I told Blaze Orange is all I got. You know, that guy.
Yeah.
So there's always a Trevor. And Trevor's going to be the one that kills me. It's going to happen.
Of course.
The real CIA guy, those guys don't want to kill me. They've enjoyed listening to the podcast for all these years.
I'm sure.
I mean, come on. If you were stationed on one person, you were either stationed, like everybody has to, in the office, the people, the listening party, they're like, all right, guys, look. You're going to watch these people. You're going to watch these. Would you rather watch us? Would you rather watch us or watch the guy that's shilling how you could subscribe to his freaking member circle podcast?
I feel bad for whoever has to watch us, because if they're just outside the house listening, I mean, there's no way they can understand half the things we're talking about.
Yeah, but
and then you know, whenever you're playing with Ariana and there's screaming going on, I mean, they just think that we are killing each other in here.
Yeah, but if you had to listen to somebody, you know, if you were sitting there and they're like making you listen to podcast, and they're like, well, you can listen to this one, or you can listen to these guys, and you listen to the. You get stuck listening to the guy who's like, and actually we have our golden circle pricing, where you can listen to the next 5-minute extra podcast that I'm going to do once every other Thursday, and then we have the Q&A. That's a $10 that we would like to have you to, and then we're very special fans, $49.99, and you'll get our newsletter. You know, the hell with that. I sit and talk to these people that listen to the show for hours. I don't care. I love it. I do it because I love it, and I'm never going to charge anything for it. I may occasionally make a t-shirt that says scientists are baffled, but that's just for my own amusement. You know, it's just so I hope that the government guy that's stuck on us is thankful for the fact that he's stuck on us.
Yes, and that we entertain him.
And I hope we entertain him. And, you know, if we do, then more than likely he's visited ParanormalSideshow.com. That's your address for everything CIA. Facebook.com/ParanormalSideshow. There's a whole lot of CIA there. On the Twitter, it's at Sideshow97. Not so much CIA, it's more FBI. Instagram, Hot CIA Damn. It's John and Stacey Edwards. YouTube.com/ParanormalSideshow. That's where you find the best CIA, watched activity there is on the YouTuber. Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you listen. That's where the CIA is watching you.
and writing your name down because you're listening to the podcast.
Trevor's got your name because you're a listener. You're in trouble.
Okay. Trevor will lose half those names. It's fine.
Yeah. Trevor's very incompetent and probably incontinent. And speaking of incontinence, it's now time for some paranormal news.
Okay, so let's get to the news.
Let's.
All right, so this first story is about the Vatican. And it's a story how the Vatican is going to launch a new exorcism training course.
Wow.
Yes, because there's been a soaring demand.
What happened to the last ones?
It doesn't say. They probably don't want you
I
to know.
remember a story last year like this. And then I remember one maybe a year or two before that. I mean, what's happening to these guys?
Well, supposedly, now the Vatican officially recognized exorcism as a practice like in 2014.
Right.
I think that was when you're thinking about when we first really started talking about it.
Right.
They started doing all the conferences and things like that. But apparently there has been this upsoar in Italy of people that need exorcisms.
Right.
So they're doing this international exorcism training course. It's like a week-long course, and it's set to be held in April.
Yes.
And it's at a Catholic educational institute in the capital of Italy.
St. Mungo's.
And no, although they probably need one of those. The focus of the course is to offer like a rich reflection or articulation on a topic that sometimes is controversial.
Yes, it
I
is
can say that.
Controversial. Yes.
And hopefully they are going to have enough people to, meet the demand.
Right.
And I believe...
Well, God, I would hope so.
They believe that...
Well, what the hell is the demand anyway?
I don't know. They say it was set up because there's an increasing popularity of tarot card readers and fortune tellers.
Oh,
and they're
my
saying
God.
that it opened the door to the devil and to possession.
Will you stop it?
That's what it says. That was...
Now, we've got a story coming up.
Uh-huh.
That this ties into very, very deeply because
Yes.
the only reason I know of this story, and it wasn't one you surprised me with, is because I brought it to you.
Right.
Because it's from a town we lived in.
Yes. Well, that was actually from a Newsweek article where they were interviewing an Italian priest and exorcist named Benigo Palilla. And he is the one that said that the door to the devil and to possession has been opened by this increasing popularity, of the tarot cards and the fortune tellers and that sort of thing. It says he claims that the demand for exorcism services has tripled in the last few years to about 500,000 alleged cases in Italy.
Yeah.
Which is a lot.
Oh, it's crazy. I remember back when we started Haunted South, our first podcast.
Right.
Back then there was an exorcist, and he was the chief exorcist, and I believe he's passed on now.
Probably.
But he had made a famous quote, "The devil resides in the Vatican, and you can see the consequences," said Father Amorth, 85 years old at the time, who has been the Holy See's chief exorcist for 25 years.
Wow.
He can remain hidden or speak in different languages or even appear to be sympathetic. At times he makes fun of me, but I'm a man who is happy in his work. While there was resistance and mistrust towards the concept of exorcism among some Catholics, Pope Benedict XVI has no such doubts. Father Amorth said His Holiness believes wholeheartedly in the practice of exorcism. He has encouraged and praised our work. So I think that's about when it started coming back around. But yeah, I mean, it's right here at the top, man. This is back from 2010. The devil is lurking in the very heart of the Roman Catholic Church, the Vatican's chief exorcist claimed on Wednesday.
Wow.
So
he meant like literally he's there in the Vatican.
Yeah, like literally, not like because I remember when we did that story.
Right.
We did that story in 2010, and I remember thinking, they mean figuratively,
right?
And that's 8 years ago. That's 8 years ago. And here's the funny thing: it's like 8 years ago, almost to the day.
Wow.
And we're about 1 week away.
Well, they're definitely going to try and get more active exorcists out there. It also mentions in this article that the demand for exorcists has also soared in France, but most of those exorcisms are outsourced to independent operators, whatever that means. I guess they're not handled by the church. And it says there's roughly 100 exorcists in France right now, but most of them are inactive.
Because they don't want to get around this bitchy French demons. It's like the cocky French demons, like, Parlez-vous.
Well, I think they're trying
Satanical.
I think they're trying to get away from that self-taught exorcist kind of thing. You know, the people that read a book and then like, oh, I'm an exorcist. You know?
Yeah.
sort of
I
thing.
was that guy in like 2007. It worked out great. I remember. Do you remember I'm going to be a
demonologist.
demonologist?
You're like, I want to be a demonologist until you read up about it. And then
Well, it
you're
wasn't until I read up. It was till I freaking messed around with it. It was like 2005, actually. I got all these books. I still have the books. They're ridiculous. And really studied up on it. I mean, I did my work, and the whole thing was because we had ran into something that was nasty, just nasty, man. I mean, if it wasn't a demon, it made demons feel bad about themselves, you know?
Right.
After this ghost got around these demons went and bought really large trucks with oversized tires and snow plows.
Snowplows on the front.
You know, just because of how they felt. Our ghost that screwed with our lives was rough. And because of that, I wanted to take the fight
Right.
to the dark side. And you know what's kind of kooky about that is when I first started having the crazy crap happen to me. And it was really the day with Ariana, when I was watching her as a baby, and we were in the floor and we fell asleep together, and that thing held me down, and I could see her, and I just remember the voice being like, you know, I mean, just something. And when that was done, I was like, all right, I'm going to investigate anything but demons.
nice spirits, just the nice ones.
So as soon as it says demon, I'm calling somebody. No, and that's not entirely true. We'll do it if it calls us.
Right.
But I'm not going.
But we're not going to go looking for it.
I'm not going to go looking for it on purpose.
Right.
If somebody says, "Oh, that place is demonically haunted," okay, great. Somebody else can do that. If we go to a place because it needs help and it happens to be demonic,
right,
then we'll do everything in our power to take care of that, because I believe we were called. The calling was something greater than ourselves.
There's no such thing as coincidence, right?
Right, exactly. No such thing as coincidence. But that's really crazy about the Exorcist. I mean, just nuts.
Yes. So I'm curious if a week-long course is really enough.
No.
Well, even that one priest they were...
But they're already priests.
Right. Well, that one priest that they were interviewing said that he felt like there should be some kind of apprenticeship also that went along with it.
Yeah. Like follow Anthony Hopkins around for a while.
Right, where you go with the seasoned exorcist.
Hey, I've seen that movie.
Well, you know, that's got to be, I mean, when you're...
Oh, can we watch The Rite later?
Sure, if you want to.
I freaking love The Rite. The Rite is like maybe the best movie ever made.
Yes, I say you have to be pretty prepared before you go into a real... Now, of course, not all people that say they need an exorcism actually need one.
No,
you know, it's not
No,
that
it's
common.
like UFO sightings.
Right. But when you do truly see one, I'm sure it's very disturbing.
Good on them. Good on them for
Yes, I agree.
fighting a good fight. Good luck with that.
Sorry, that was my stomach. I apologize.
Are you sure?
Yes, I just ate something because I didn't want my stomach to growl during
Dear
the show. Now it's digesting.
Yeah, that was your stomach. I'm totally calling this. I'm calling
Do you
the
need the
Vatican.
exorcist?
I'm calling him right now. Freaking.
Well, my stomach has interesting timing, doesn't it?
I'll tell you. You and Tim Clark. Go ahead.
All right. Well, this next story involves one of your favorite people on the planet.
Well, that could be a lot of people.
It could. Our very favorite Michio Kaku.
Oh, no. Oh, no. What have they dug him up to do?
Well, apparently he has had a new book come out.
Ah.
And it's called The Future of Humanity.
Of course it is.
And he was doing this interview.
Uh-huh.
And it was great because they asked him in this interview what he thought ETs would look like once we finally met them. Because, you know, he's always the UFO guy, the ET guy, the alien guy.
Yeah.
The one the news stations call on when they want to do a story that, you know, goes with their little slow disclosure narrative or whatever.
Yes.
So supposedly they asked him this question, and it says that Kaku interviewed experts in like exobiology, and based on his research, he decided that intelligent alien life would have 3 necessary features.
Okay.
This is according to Kaku, so you know it's gospel,
Kaku,
right?
yes.
Yes. Okay. So the aliens would have like stereo vision.
Okay.
You know, like eyes that could see great distances, like predators kind of thing. Not necessarily that they're predators, but
Right.
they would have really, you know, excellent vision.
Okay.
Okay. And it said they would have some form of opposable thumbs or some kind of grasping appendage.
Well, that's good.
Obviously,
useful.
because that's necessary for
Right.
creating tools and hunting prey and that sort of thing. And then they would also need to have some kind of language among themselves,
Right.
anything like that. Any kind of way to communicate, not necessarily talking like we do, but something, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And he also theorizes that many alien civilizations would exist on ice-covered moons, sort of like he mentioned, like Jupiter's moon, Europa, or
did he?
Saturn's moon, Enceladus, which are the
Really?
ones that they've
Yeah.
kind of thrown out there before.
Yeah, just happened to throw that out there.
Where
that-
he feels like life would exist completely underwater.
Yeah, and they just, now we know that Saturn's moon has like 80% salt water, seawater, and so God knows what can be there.
Right.
They know. They
Yeah,
know there's
I think
life
they know.
there. They have had a satellite, and they're seeing whales jump,
Well,
or kraken.
Kaku went on and he took all of this experimental, knowledge that he had, and he brought that back down to Earth and decided that the one earthbound underwater animal that fits almost every criteria of his alien life was the octopus. The only thing it can't do is language.
Oh my God.
Right? It's got everything else. The cephalopod. And it says they've survived Earth for at least 165 million years. The only thing it lacks is a language. But he said, however, on a different planet, perhaps they could develop their own language.
That's terrifying.
So what you've got here is you've got an alien that resembles an alien from that movie Arrival. The one, remember, with
Right.
Amy Adams, where she was
Right.
talking to the aliens? That's what he assumes aliens would look
Yeah,
like.
and that's exactly what was on there. And as you always are putting out, I have my things,
right.
and you have yours. And yours has always been, since 2010, they are doing slow disclosure. Hollywood's part of it. Hollywood's always been part of it.
Yes.
And we know that Hollywood was part of it at the first.
Mm-hmm.
We know that they were at the first. Like, that's not just us conspiracy theorying. Theorying. I like
Fearing.
that.
Yes.
That's cool.
You've made it a verb.
Yes, it's the verb of it. So that wasn't just us conspiracy theorying. It'll be a sport at the Olympics. Oh, by the way, completely sidebar here in my little thing.
Yeah.
The Summer Olympics in 2020 are going to be in Tokyo.
Oh, wow. So you want to go?
I want to go.
Okay,
So anyway, we already know that, and we already know about Hollywood, not the Japanese Olympics.
Right,
But,
right.
Okay, just stick with us here, okay? So that's always been your thing. And I think you're right. Like, at first, I was a bit argumentative with you about it because I was like, I don't know. I don't know if they would do a disclosure at all or what. But yes, they have been working on our minds and getting us used to it. And it's not even that shocking now.
Right.
And we talk about this all the time.
We do.
8 years ago, if they had said some of the things they say now about alien life, we would have been running in the streets with paintings on our heads.
Big billboards that said the end is near and all that stuff.
It would have been terrible. But let me talk about Kaku for just a second. I'll let you go back to hold your thought.
Okay.
So new listeners to the show, which we have a ton.
Yes, we
Okay. Do not have the glory of going through Haunted South podcast or the Third Side. You can go to the Third Side on the YouTube.
Right.
And that's really fun. You guys should really do it. You should watch the whole Third Side YouTube, just because it was video podcast and it was a lot of fun. But okay, the Haunted South is where I started with old grandma hair, and that's what I call Kaku. Okay, so Michino Kaku is and it's funny because I have Japanese envy. Like, I want to live in Japan. I love the Japanese. I don't consider him Japanese, because he is a spawn of the devil, and they always bring him on just to do these fluff pieces.
Yes.
But
I think there was a point in time where we had several stories in a row where he was just pushing some kind of alien
agenda
thing or UFO thing or something.
Yeah.
And he was doing it in such a nice way.
Yeah, they would bring him on, and it's always just like, well, what do you think, Haku? And he's like, well, and he goes through this whole thing, and he's so trusting, right? At first, I fell for it too. He was so trusting because he has this soft white grandma hair, and it's like grandma, and it's like grandma's not gonna lie to you. Why would grandma lie to you? Just look at the hair. Just look at the hair, and so you're like, oh, okay, grandma. What are you going to tell me? Oh, it's swamp gas, grandma? Absolutely. Mama says that gators are angry because they can't brush their teeth. It's that kind of thing. So I developed the thing. You remember Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan?
Yes.
So one of the best things ever in a movie when William Shatner is just, giving it the big. So, I just developed the cuckoo! Cuckoo!
Oh, God.
Sorry.
It's okay.
But, I mean, it's just very funny. And we haven't heard from him in a while, but I wanted to give the people that are new just a little. Even the dramatic music.
Right.
I hear that
in your head
music whenever I hear his name.
He's going to give him a little backstory as to why
what's really
why
funny?
You do that.
What's really funny about this? We have a lot of listeners.
We do.
We have a whole lot of listeners.
We do.
Here's the funny thing. Somebody's going to get this to Kaku. Like, I'm going to get a personal message from his lawyers.
Well, we're not saying that he's not an incredibly smart man.
Oh, no.
And that he's not right about a lot of the things that he says.
Right.
We're just saying that he's the patsy. Mm-hmm. He's the guy.
No, he's the trust guy.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing.
With the soothing voice and the laughing and the jokes and the pleasant face.
I believe that he's telling the truth. I believe that you're right and that it is a slow disclosure. I believe he knows more than he lets on.
And I believe the aliens are obviously going to look like those aliens in Arrival.
Yeah.
Because that's why they put him in there.
It's ridiculous.
It's Hollywood.
It's totally ridiculous.
So I thought that was a pretty cool story. I don't know. I'll link to it.
No, it's a very cool story. And you know what? He's actually fun to listen to. And I'm sure his book's very interesting. And we just like to have a bit of fun about it because I went off on a tangent a long time ago because we had like 8 stories in a row. And
it was like his name came up every week or
and I'm
something.
Are we
silly.
really going to trust this guy on every part of this? Does nobody even think about this? And he became old grandma hair. So
we like old grandma hair.
Yeah, which okay. I could say that because I'm bald.
There you go. All right, let's move on to this next story.
Let's.
And the story is about a CDC employee that has gone missing.
Oh, God. Last time they seen him, there wasn't like a sheriff from Cynthiana, Kentucky that just showed up with his little group of survivors.
No, I don't think it's quite that bad.
Oh.
They're not telling us anyway.
Let me tell you something before you get into this, as I made the joke, Walking Dead reference, obviously.
Right.
That little town that Rick Grimes was supposed to be the sheriff of was the next town over from a place that I actually managed a store in back when I was dating you.
Ah, yes.
And I drove back every night back to Tennessee to see you for 2 hours.
Yes, I remember. It was very romantic.
See you. Hashtag mommy daddy time.
Moving on. So, a Centers for Disease Control employee, his name is Timothy Cunningham. He's 35.
Okay. Right.
Let me just paint the picture of this guy, right?
Paint it away, baby.
Okay, so he works as a commander in the U.S. Public Health Service. He responded to the Ebola virus, the Zika virus. He holds 2 degrees from Harvard. He's very friendly and positive and happy. Lots of friends. All of his friends noted how reliable he is. Just very, hardworking guy. No, nothing you would think bad of, right?
Right.
So 2 weeks ago, he left work because he felt unwell, he said, and he has been missing ever since. Nobody knows where he is. He was in contact with his family via text. Like, he's very close with his parents and his sister.
Right.
So they had been texting, but in this article, his father actually said that on the day before he went missing, that there was some exchanges, via phone and text that kind of caused him to be a little bit concerned.
Right.
He didn't say in what way or why or what was said, but that he was a little bit concerned. And so the next day, they noticed that he was not returning any calls or any texts, which was unusual. So they actually drove. They live in Maryland. They drove to Atlanta. And they went to his house and they used their extra key to get in. And when they went in, they found his phone, his wallet, his keys, and his car, all undisturbed. And he has a dog named Bo that he loved more than anything, that he would never leave.
Right.
And the dog was left there.
Jeez.
And he was just gone. The house was locked. There was like 2 windows open. And nobody has any idea where he's
we
gone.
don't do a whole lot of missing person reports, but
we don't.
This is a CDC employee.
Exactly. That's why I thought it was a little bit unusual, because there's a lot of avenues you could go here. I mean, they did make sure to point out how reliable and trustworthy this guy was, but he's disappeared from the CDC with no idea what's happened.
Right.
And his parents claim that he was acting oddly. So, you don't ever know. Could be a
2
conspiracy
weeks.
thing.
And the crazy thing is, I mean, everything's at his house.
Yeah, he didn't like pack up and
He
leave.
was feeling well, but then there's everything at his freaking house, kind of like the skier that ended up in California.
Right. And it's a little bit scary that a CDC employee was kind of sick. You would think that they would have extra precautions for CDC employees that are like, I'm not feeling so good. I don't think they'd just be like, okay, go home. They should take him in a room.
Especially
and
when he's been dealing with Ebola and Zika.
Yeah, things like that.
But you would also think he would know the signs if that was
Right.
the case, and it would sought medical attention quickly.
Yes. I just hope, they didn't say that he'd come to any foul play, but they are offering a reward like the.
They're saying there's no signs of foul play. I've looked it up while we're talking here.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, like you said, it's been 2 weeks, and they really 30 minutes ago, the latest report, there's no signs of foul play. It's like his family said, it's like he vanished into thin air. So listen, if anybody has any information on this, urging you to, even if you think it's something trivial but you might know something,
Right.
Contact the Atlanta Police Homicide Adult Missing Persons Unit at 404-546-4235. That's 404-546-4235. Anything you might know of heard or anything around this, you never know when that one little string of evidence could be something or a clue that ties everything together. Like I said, we don't do these very much, but this is strange, and it goes.
It's a mystery,
and it goes on the heels of another missing person weird case that we had a week before, and of course they're not related in any way, shape, or form, other than the fact that all the guy's stuff
was still there. Yeah, and he only showed up like a week later.
Right.
I just hope this guy really wasn't sick in some terrible way and sort of just crawled off somewhere.
Well, I hope that he wasn't. I hope it's not terrorist related.
No, I hope not too. And I hope he wasn't forced to have access to something he
Right.
shouldn't have access to. I mean, all those things go through your head. And his parents, they did check like all the hospitals and things like that. All the routine stuff that you would do when your child
Such a
was
squeaky
missing.
clean guy.
Yeah.
That's the really terrible part. You don't want anybody to go missing, but when you look at somebody, looking at his picture, he looks like just a great dude.
Yeah, and he had plans. He had like plans with friends coming up, and it's not like something he seemed like he was planning to
hopefully
disappear.
This turns out good.
I hope
hopefully
so.
this turns out well.
I hope so.
And
yes.
it's he bought his first VR kit or something, and he's just
he's in the cellar playing.
He's like, I bought a pound of weed and a bag of M&Ms, and just going to take this out for a ride.
I'm going on vacation for a month.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on. So this is the story that you said we were going to touch on when we were talking about the Vatican story.
Yes.
And this is the one about the tarot card controversy.
Good Lord, people.
So this is a story from a small town in Virginia that we actually lived in for a couple of years.
We lived in it twice.
Yes, 1 year each time.
Yeah.
And it's Richlands, Virginia. It is
Yes.
just a small coal mining town
Right.
in the mountains.
Right.
Everybody knows everybody, very
do.
close-knit community. It's not a terrible place to live. It's just very small.
It's very small.
Yes. And so there's this business there. It's called Mountain Magic. It's like a little occult shop.
That wasn't there
right
before.
on Front Street. It was definitely not there when we lived there. It's
Yeah.
a new business. And
I knew both the businesses in town.
there's a controversy going on because back last October, the police in the town of Richlands kind of forced the owners to stop performing tarot readings because they claimed that the zoning law didn't expressly allow any kind of activity like fortune-telling activity in the business.
Those cops don't know that. Listen, I know those guys, okay?
Right.
I ran a business in that town across from the police station. Across from the police station.
Right.
I gave those guys huge discounts. Those guys had my back. Let me give you a Richland story, okay?
Okay.
I had somebody come to our house, and we had a disagreement.
Right.
Back when I lived there. And it was a disagreement that was so hardcore that this person may not have called the police.
Right.
And the police showed up.
Right.
And I believe I may have been shirtless by that point, just because it was a warm night, obviously.
Obviously.
And, the police told this cat,
Who was from out of town.
who was from out of town. He asked him where he was from, and the guy knew me, right?
Right.
He knew me because I lived there, and I work across the street,
Right. And give them discounts.
give him discounts, all
Right.
that stuff. And he told him, he's like, well, I'll tell you how this is going to go. I don't know who you are, but I know how things work around here. And I'll tell you right now, I'm probably not going to see whatever this guy does to you. And then I'm probably going to arrest you if you're still here. And that guy was like completely, I mean, you could tell that guy was like, holy crap, where did I come?
He's like, I'm in deliverance. What's going on?
Yeah. So anyway, I love those guys. They loved me, but that town was weird, man. Like it was strange, heavy kind of magic. Right off the bat, man, the very first day I was there in that particular store, right? And this is a long time ago, but it's oddly enough, same company I'm with still, I'm at my Bruce Wayne job.
Right.
And I remember, because we've always done what we're doing right now. So we're always looking for that stuff. But I remember waking up, we were living in Tennessee at the time, and I'd had a dream before I ever went up to that town. I'd never been in the town before. And I had a dream about this wreck, and it was raining, and it was there was crying, everybody was crying, and it was bad, and there was, it was real weird. There was a wet road, and it was obviously a car wreck, and all this stuff. And I told you about it, and you were like, well, maybe you shouldn't go. Right. And I was like, well, I don't know. It's symbolic maybe because maybe this is a big day, which, you know what? It ended up being a huge day, right?
It was, yes.
In our lives.
But I really was scared for you to go because of your dream.
Yeah, because
we pay attention to that stuff.
But yeah, for good reason, because they normally happen.
Right.
So I went anyway, and I was really careful because it was raining. And I got up there, and there was a weird vibe in the store. There was like this really crazy bad vibe. And the guy who had the position that I was taking, I ended up taking, it just happened to come open. Right. Was because that wasn't even the position I was going after. Right. I showed up to interview for another place, but at this store. And I ended up getting the position at this store because this guy had a wreck that morning. And he ended up passing away. And everybody was crying in the store when I got there.
Crazy.
And it was raining, and it was very, very odd. And what made it crazier is I was in there like 2 weeks later working, and a person comes in, and they called me that guy's name. And then it happened a few times, and finally I just asked somebody, I was like, why did they keep thinking that I'm this guy? And they're like, well, you look exactly like him. You're his age. Wow. You're both bald. You're both, ruggedly good looking, and actually very, very attractive. Stop traffic kind of, good looking.
I'm sure that's what they said. Yes.
Yeah, they probably did. And but no, it's very strange.
It was very weird. Yes.
The whole thing
was just
weird.
The beginning of the weird
that
stuff.
That was the beginning of the stuff, but everybody was so against anything, and crazy. And even when I did some stuff in the store because the store was so haunted. They wouldn't talk about it. Like I had people that worked for me, because I had like 20 employees in that store, and they had people that worked for me that would see stuff. Right. And I'd be like, what'd you see? And they wouldn't tell me. And then I had this grown kid cry. And he was like,
I think you had a couple quit, didn't you?
I saw a person, and they would be in denial about it. But yeah, crazy town, very full of magic. We had nonstop. Stacey fed the crows, and we'd have hundreds of crows around the house, and it was crazy place.
It was crazy. Well, so after the cops stopped the shop owner, his name is Mark Mullins, from doing the tarot readings, and I will point out that he was doing the tarot readings for free. He wasn't charging people. He was just doing them to do them for people. He decided he wanted to be able to do them legally. Right. So he filed an application with the Richlands Planning Commission to add fortune telling as a permitted use for his business, so that he could let people come inside and sit down and do the readings. So they had to go to a public hearing, to see if they were going to put that up for a vote to allow him to do that. And apparently it blew up. So many people showed up at this hearing. They were packed in. You could see the picture. They're just packed in. Just crammed into this little hall.
It's bananas.
And there were people there to support him, but there was an overwhelming amount of people against it that came to speak against it. And one of the arguments was that the practice would open up, quote, demonic realms, which young children would be subjected to. And even others said that they feared that if they failed to prevent this change, it would go against them on Judgment Day. Like, we're talking some hardcore, deep-seated Christian believing people here.
Some of those people worked for me, and they totally they think somebody's following them around writing that stuff down. I'm not saying there's not.
Right.
I'm not saying there's not some guy behind me right now with like 4 books going, geez, please, come on, man.
Well, and so they were citing all of these religious reasons why they didn't want him to do it. And, then other people were like, well, if this is his religion, he should be able to do it, that sort of thing. So eventually they got to the consensus that it was not a religious issue, that it was a business issue.
Amazing it took that long.
Yeah. And so once they agreed that it was a business issue, they decided that they were not going to recommend the change. So that they just put it off, and they didn't even say if they're going to let the vote come up next time.
Oh, they won't.
So they've basically denied it. And he had a really good point. He just stood up and he was like, "Look, I can do this on the sidewalk. It's legal for me to be on the sidewalk and do tarot readings because I'm not in my business."
Right.
He's like, "So do you want me out on the sidewalk causing a spectacle, making a sideshow of it, and
right.
doing the tarot readings, or do you want to let me do it in my business where people can come in and nobody's going to see them?"
Right.
That was his point. And so I don't know. Obviously it got very heated, but I believe that he's actually going to be in contact with the ACLU because he feels like now his rights are being
right
because they're using religion to stop him.
No, I got you.
Basically,
I got you.
Right.
I mean, ACLU probably doesn't want to get anywhere near Richlands. I can tell you that that place. My family actually comes from just right over the hill. From Richlands, and they actually had a lot of stuff in Richlands, including where this one mall is. My family owned that property back in the day. It had like a bus stop and a bowling alley and stuff like that. Back, I'm talking, when I say the day, I mean like the day, like
right,
40s, 50s,
right, way back,
something like that. So I know those people, and those people all keep to themselves. They take care of each other to the end, to the bitter end. So they don't like outsiders. They don't like change.
No,
not bad people at all.
No, absolutely
actually
not.
very good people. They just don't like the change, and they're scared of things. And
they are very deep seated in their religion. I mean, you're talking about the Bible Belt.
Oh, it's like
there.
the third notch.
Yeah, and see, that's even like we talk about all the time when we first got into the paranormal. We actually lived very close to there, not in Richlands, but in a town pretty close that was still in that same mentality, that same area where you couldn't even talk about ghost hunting without causing people to look around and make sure nobody was listening.
Oh yeah, you side eye you.
Yeah, so
I mean, it was bad, and that's what we always talk about. We couldn't find anything, anybody to do it with, and because we had something terrible happen to us, and we really wanted to go out and explore this, and you just couldn't do it. I mean, it was so it was just looked at in a very strange
frowned
way.
upon, like that, and
especially with me. Even then, I had a very professional job. At that time, you couldn't even be associated with that and wear your shirt and tie and expect a promotion.
Right, right. Times you were crazy.
Times have completely changed, and people accept these things a lot easier. Thank God.
Yes.
But
well, the whole mountain thing's funny for me because there is a lot of magic in the mountains, like you talked about, and even your grandparents, even though they're holding on to all their religious beliefs, they all knew that one witchy woman,
right,
that they would go to sometimes when they needed something taken care of. You know what I mean? Like it just is all wrapped together.
They had mountain remedies. They had ways to get rid of things, and I mean, they use magic.
It's
and
just a funny little area.
Yeah. Well, that side of the family, which was super, Kentucky, super West Virginia, and all that. Yeah, man, they had all the folklore and legends, and all the good stuff.
I'm really curious if that store is even going to make it.
Oh no!
Now, after all the controversy,
it might actually. People might show up from
There was another business owner that actually made the point. He said he didn't want to put any religion into it. He made the point that shop brings people to their town, to Richlands.
Yeah.
Like he said, several times a week, people come in my business and ask me where it is, or ask me where they can find it, and while they're in town, hey, where can we eat, and that kind of thing. And he's like, I
bearded moose.
And he was like, I think
you
should
say that. Go eat at the bearded moose.
And he suggested that they, do the change just for the fact that it's actually bringing people to Richlands.
Yeah.
which is not something that happens very often.
No, it's not. It's not.
No.
It's like Maine. It's usually one direction.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next story.
Let's.
And this is about a really cool discovery in Mexico.
Cool. There's been a lot there lately.
There has. So in Mexico, there are 216-mile-long flooded caves. They're known as the Sac Acton.
Sac Acton?
Yes. That's what it says the name is.
It's like fast acting.
So
Sac acting.
They're recognized as two different distinct cave systems. Okay. So last month.
Did you say 216 miles?
Yes. That's a long way.
They walked that out or what?
They've measured it. I don't know. So last month, some explorers announced that they discovered a passageway between the two caves. So it is actually one long cave system, which makes it the largest cave system in the world.
Wow.
And it's all completely underwater. So that was pretty cool already. But just recently, just the other day, they announced more details about what they found in the cave. So their discoveries include remains of ancient elephant-like species called gomphotheres, giant sloths, giant bears, and they found burned human bones, ceramics, wall etchings, and nearly 200 artifacts that mostly appear to be Mayan.
Wow.
All in this cave system.
Giant bears.
Yes, and everything's like really well preserved. It said some of the bones appear to be at least 9,000 years old.
Jeez.
Yes.
Wait a second. Shouldn't it be bigger? I mean, older than that if it's giant bears?
Well, they just said some of the bones. There was human remains too.
Okay.
So I'm not sure which
Right.
bones that they were dating.
It's still crazy. I mean, and they're just now starting to go through this, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's huge, 216 miles, and it's all
216 miles.
underwater.
That's nuts.
So the explorers also found a shrine to the Mayan god of commerce as well, and also a staircase structure inside one of the cenotes. And so if you don't know what a cenote is, it's those big sinkholes in the jungle, and Mayans, they were
They're very religious.
Yeah, they were very sacred to them, and they always did rituals around them. And there's water in them, so they would get their fresh water from there.
Right.
So what they believe...
What they thought was fresh water when there was a giant sloth lying dead at the bottom.
Well, what they believe happened was during periods of drought where the water would, recede down into the
Right.
cenote, that they built the staircase so that they could go down in there to constantly look for water, because they would have to go deeper and deeper. And I guess while they were down there, they left this shrine and left, these artifacts.
Which you
obviously,
would if your life
yeah,
kind of revolved around that.
right, and probably making sacrifices because you want your water to come back. I mean, you would think.
Yeah, and you want your water to taste, it's like Mayan Kool-Aid.
Right. So here they've been, discovering all of these really awesome things that they're sending to the museum to be further studied, but everything is just very, very cool. And there's actually, in the article, there's pictures and things, and you can see the divers down there in the cave. Very, very awesome find.
Wow, that's nuts, though. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just really nuts that they put those together, and it's 216 miles.
Yes, and they're actually trying to really excavate as much as they can, because I think that there's some nearby pollution and some different things that are happening that's kind of destroying the actual cave system, things beyond their control. But they hopefully they find some other cool stuff. I can't wait. I'm going to keep up with that one.
Yeah, it's very neat. I mean, and so many discoveries in Mexico lately.
Yeah, all the Mayan things and
And
all
the
the LiDAR.
LiDAR?
Yeah, all that LiDAR.
Yeah.
Especially, I think it's crazy. Definitely crazy. All right, so let's move on. This is just something I wanted to mention for you about mysterious booms.
Oh.
Because, we mentioned that in the opening about your number one things, the mysterious
yeah.
booms. But I have two different examples here. And the first one is from Ohio. And this is actually a story that was sent to us from one of our listeners, Terry.
Yeah. I know which one this is.
From Middletown, Ohio, where they had numerous reports of several loud explosions. And it was kind of near this steel corp called AK Steel Corp.
Mm-hmm.
But when it was checked out, like the police checked it out, the Steel Corporation said they didn't have any kind of accident. There was no explosions.
Nothing to see here. Move along.
The police
Move along.
said that they weren't aware of any explosions. They hadn't responded to anything.
Not aware of anything.
Nobody knew what the sound was. They had no idea. So there actually was an update to the story, though, a couple days later, that said that Stein Incorporated came out. They managed
The people
hauling...
that made like the pianos?
No, different company.
They make the beer things for Budweiser?
No, I don't think they're actually made by a company called Stein. I think they're just called Steins.
Oh, those are just Steins.
Yeah, I think that's just the name of the kind of
Do you
mug.
think anybody has like every one of those that goes all the way back?
Oh, from Budweiser?
Yeah.
I don't know. My dad had quite a few of those.
Did he?
Because we used to go to Busch Gardens every year.
Oh, that's awesome. I love those Steins.
I love Busch Gardens. Yeah, and they had like the Clydesdales on them, and you could open them and drink the beer.
They're really cool though. I love those Steins. Sorry.
That's
Go
okay.
ahead.
So a company named Stein Incorporated, they manage hauling the slag from AK steel.
Yeah, sounds terrible.
Slag is just a byproduct of the steel refining process. I'm just, in case anybody doesn't know, it's kind of a glass-like substance, and it's very hot. And they claim that that night it was storming and there was a lot of rain, and that some moisture mixed with the hot slag causing a louder than usual noise. So they feel like
really bad. Never seen anything like it.
They feel like the mysterious booms was their fault, that's what people were hearing. So that's the official explanation.
As soon as that water hit the slag.
You would think
it's never rained before.
Yeah, you would think something like that would have happened before.
It's the first time it's ever rained.
They didn't say anybody was being negligent, but you never know. I don't know. But it is an explanation. And like we were talking about, when there's an explanation,
yeah,
they come right out with it.
Exactly.
And tell you.
Unless we just hired this new kid named Trevor. We told Trevor, you got one job, Trevor.
Cover up the slag.
Cover up the slag. Don't be Trevor. Yeah, I mean, no, if they came up with the explanation, when in doubt, throw it out.
Right.
I mean, there's not much we can do there.
No.
Great story, because I like having the ones that we can actually,
right.
Because it's kind of like the Michelangelo. It's kind of like the
Monty Python sketch.
Yeah, the two skinny ones balance the fat one, or two fat ones balance the skinny one. It's cool because when you have those moments, or those ones that can be explained, it makes the unexplainable ones even that weirder.
Right, because they don't have an explanation. Yeah. Well, speaking of which, there was actually another mysterious boom that was on local news in Oconee, South Carolina. And this one, there is no explanation. And they went through the whole gambit of asking, Meteorological Society, geological, was there an earthquake? Was it a storm? Was it this, that? And there is no explanation for this one. Yeah. So, and they actually did report it on the local news like they usually do. Yeah. But then it'll just go away.
It'll go away. And the thing is, you can find one of these a week. One of these each week, because we don't look for these. If these happen to fall in our laps, we tell you about it. But if you look for them, you're going to find one. And I would guarantee it. Let's just say, if I'm giving a guarantee, one a month. Once a month, you're going to have a mysterious boom. And it's and you know what? Go back 30 years and see if you had them, because you didn't.
No.
It's just nuts. It's just nuts.
It's crazy.
And we need to put funding into it. We need to talk about it. We need to think about it. We need to find out what the heck's going on.
I agree. Okay. Well, I just wanted to mention those because I know how much you like the mysterious booms.
Well, like is a strong word.
I'm using it sarcastically.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this story is interesting. It's about a woman who is suing California agencies for not recognizing the existence of Bigfoots.
Wait a second.
Does that sound familiar?
It sounds a bit familiar.
Yes. Well, back on episode 33 that we did, we had a story from British Columbia where Todd Standing also sued the British Columbia court for the same type of thing.
Todd Outstanding.
Yeah. So this woman's name is Claudia Ackley, and she actually is not a stranger to the Bigfoot thing. She's a Bigfoot enthusiast. She is a researcher. And she said
you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter.
She said that her and her daughters saw 3 Sasquatches on a dusk hike at Lake Arrowhead last year. But then when she went
I'm not laughing because it's not true.
I know.
I'm just laughing.
When she went to tell the park rangers assured her that what they saw was a family of bears. And she didn't care for that explanation too much.
I can see the park rangers like leaning against a tree, smoking a cigarette. Right, like right beside the Smokey Bear thing.
Right.
And looking like they're from the 50s,
Chewing a piece of gum.
Yeah. And she comes up trying to explain it to him, and it was like kind of the slow. So you want us to do a report on this, ma'am? Do you know how long it takes us to do a report, ma'am? I do believe you've seen some bears, and we'll take a look at it right now. We do have ways of taking care of this, hey, Jimmy, go start the wildfire. You know.
Well, she claims she's actually suing the state's Department of Fish and Wildlife and the Natural Resources Agency for failing to keep the citizens safe because, she said, from the Sasquatch scourge.
The scourge of the Sasquatch. Coming to theaters this fall. Scourge of the Sasquatch. Brought to you by Hammer Films. You can buy an entire seat, but you only need the edge.
It sounds like a terrible movie, doesn't it? And claims that, they're derelict in their duty by not acknowledging the existence of this species. And guess who's helping her in her lawsuits?
Oh, the Canadian?
Yes, Mr. Todd Standing, who has come to support her and has actually brought some of his own evidence as well. So when they go to court, they plan to present like fingerprint and DNA evidence, and they're really, really confident that they're going to win this case. Now, the Fish and Wildlife spokesperson said the agency does not recognize Bigfoot as a species, but they weren't really able to comment on the case because of the pending litigation. Right. So I'm not sure how this is all going to work out. Not sure if they're going to acknowledge it or not. What do you think?
It's California. So here's the thing.
The San Bernardino Superior Court.
Here's the thing, darling. So it's 2018.
Right.
I could identify as a Sasquatch right now.
You could.
Okay. And I'm not saying anything bad about that. I'm not trying to trigger anyone. I'm not trying to do anything about that. Stacey and I live somewhere outside of your realm. we live somewhere outside of your argument. So I'm just saying that being the year that it is,
right, that
California especially,
right,
it will not surprise me a bit if California says we're gonna recognize Bigfoot
as a species.
Well,
they have to put up like warning signs.
Wouldn't it be weird?
Woods, like, warning Bigfoot.
Wouldn't it be weird if they did that, and then the Bigfoot came out of hiding, like this whole time it's been like
we're just waiting to be recognized.
Yeah. We've just been waiting this whole time. We were waiting for men to do the right thing. Hello. I mean, you can see, do you like my Bigfoot voice?
Yes, I do.
Of course that's Bigfoot's voice. The only complaint that we have is your television program killing Bigfoot. It has really brought pain and discomfort to all my people.
Well, I'm not sure people would do much better. I mean, remember we played that video game, Red Dead Redemption, and there was actually Bigfoots that you could find?
Yeah.
And I think the first time we played, we killed them all.
Well, it gave you a moral dilemma. It gave you like this decision. And you have to be pretty far in the game to get to this part.
Right.
And what a crazy part to the game.
It was just so off the wall.
And you're up in the North Woods because nothing else was fantasy in this game. Nothing else was weird. Nothing else was fantasy. You're a cowboy. You're shooting prostitutes.
I think you're saving the prostitutes.
Oh, okay. Well, I shot the prostitutes. I was trying to make a cleaner.
You can actually do whatever you want.
Yeah, cleaner, nicer West. But you're up in the North Woods, and there's a Bigfoot. There's a Sasquatch, and you have to. It's like I'm the lowest of my kind, and and you. It's like your choice.
I think we just put him out of his misery. Oh, sorry, dude.
Yeah, and we killed him. But no, that's bananas.
It is very bananas. I think it's a little unfair of her to say there's a Sasquatch scourge, though. I don't think she's been traumatized.
Did she say it like that?
Probably not. Probably not.
So, do you not like the word Sasquatch or scourge?
Scourge. I don't think that they're a scourge.
Oh.
I think they stay in hiding pretty well, obviously.
We also don't like the fact that you said we were a scourge. We're not sure entirely what that means, but
your Bigfoot sounds like Jimmy Stewart. I don't know why. Okay, let's move on. Okay. So, here's an interesting story.
Scourge of the Sasquatch, starring Jimmy Stewart.
Coming to a theater near you. Okay, so this is a story about UK's quote-unquote most haunted tree.
Stacey just actually did the quotes.
I did. I do. Every time I say quote, I'm doing air quotes.
Yes,
I feel wrong. I'm telling them.
Yeah.
Because they can't see me. I feel wrong if I don't actually do the air quotes when I say it.
Okay.
All right, so there's a 250-year-old cedar tree.
Not particularly old cedar tree, is it?
And it's not
as far as
particularly old.
cedar trees go.
It's in Caterham.
Is it?
On Caterham High Street. I think it's in Surrey.
Right.
And some of the stories about the tree are that the tree is cursed. It supposedly has a curse attached to it.
Right.
And there's a lot of different stories, but I think the most popular one is that perhaps a witch was hung there or tied to the tree and put a curse on it. And it's a story that's been passed down so long that the locals, actually a lot of them, they don't like talk when they walk under it. You have to be very quiet when you walk under the tree. And some of them even hold their breath.
Right.
That sort of thing.
Smart.
So there's the story about this car that was parked under this cursed tree.
Right.
And it caught on fire. There was nobody in the car, nobody around the car. It just burst into flames and caught on fire. And so it was this interesting story about, did this cursed tree cause this car to catch on fire?
Wow.
It's pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
I thought it was really interesting.
That's nuts. I mean,
the tree is beautiful. When you look at the pictures, if you go to the article and look at the pictures, the tree is beautiful. It's huge. It hangs over the road.
It's just murderous.
I would not park under it for any amount of money. No.
I would do it now with somebody else's car just to see.
Just to see if something happens.
To see what happens. That's cool. It's cool and it's weird at the same time.
It is. It is. Because I totally believe there could be a cursed tree.
What I mean, it's like 3 hours from there. We had a story about a year ago about somebody poisoning some trees, and they thought that there was something.
Yeah, somebody, like, they don't even know who did it. That someone drilled into the trees and put poison in there.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of really old trees.
Because the guy had like cut the branches to see the water better, and he died or something.
Well, I don't know if that's why they poisoned them. They have no idea. Just when we looked into the history of the house and those trees, it turned out that the previous owner, the original owner of the house, liked to look at the ocean.
Right.
And he wanted to see it better, and the trees were in the way, and he went outside to cut the branches off the one tree, and he never got to cut the branches off because he mysteriously fell and died, like in the yard.
Not much mystery to it.
So
don't screw with English trees.
Exactly. English trees, just don't mess with them. Dangerous.
Crazy.
All right, well, we just have a couple more things here.
All right.
So the first couple things I want to mention, just a couple videos that everybody needs to go check out that I'll put links up for.
Cool.
One of them is an awesome UFO video. We don't usually mention UFO videos because you can't really do stories on them, but this one you've got to go see. I'm going to throw a link up for it. It's from Belarus.
Yes.
And it's this really cool video. Somebody's taking it from their car window.
Yes.
And it's this crazy light, and it's just going along the horizon, kind of following them along. It's really, really unusual.
It looks real.
It does. And at first, it looks like maybe it's a reflection on the window, but it actually goes behind the trees as they're driving.
Yeah, and I mean, and you know what? We don't do a lot of them, even though there are a lot to do.
Right.
But the thing is, it looks... like Stacey said, it looks pretty fantastic, and it's definitely one you want to look at and check out. You know, we're getting really close to the Tom DeLonge's Society, and you know, all the buzz that came out last time that the Pentagon released the footage. Supposedly, there's another video getting ready to drop any day.
Okay, we'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Pretty excited about it.
Yes. Well, this other video that you can check out is actually from Argentina, and they had one of those huge fish die-offs where thousands of dead fish washed ashore in Argentina at a lagoon called Laguna Don Tomas. It's in Santa Rosa.
Right.
And the video is crazy. You can't even see. It's so many fish.
Oh,
so many. It's terrible. They actually had to call in the Argentinian army to bring in like excavators to scoop the dead fish up and move them away. And it just, the smell must have been horrible. They are testing the water to make sure there wasn't any kind of pollutant put in there, but I think that the official explanation is that there was some high temperatures and low water levels, and it just became uninhabitable for that type of fish. There's other fish in the lagoon, but that particular fish was not very good with that environment.
There are, obvious reasons that these things happen, but it doesn't make it look any less Judgment Day.
Right. Or really, when you got the army out there, front loading a bunch of dead fish, it's crazy.
I can't imagine like walking up. Can you imagine coming up on a body of water and then all these dead fish just pop up?
No, it would just be too weird.
Yeah, or the Red River.
Well, that's like that video that we have on our YouTube where we were driving by the cemetery and all those birds. They weren't dead, but there was like so many birds in the cemetery.
It was bananas.
Crazy. Yeah. It was crazy. Okay, so last story. This one is so awesome. This is about a Friday the 13th sleepover experience that's offered at the camp where they filmed Friday the 13th at Camp Crystal Lake.
Oh my God.
And you can't normally, the public can't go to this lake. It's actually a Boy Scout camp, and the public's not allowed to go there. But since there's a Friday the 13th in April,
Oh, wow.
they are doing a weekend kind of sleepover thing.
They try to kill you?
It doesn't say. I'm sure they wouldn't let that out. That's probably a surprise.
If there's not
Maybe
somebody,
pay extra.
if there's not somebody in the middle of the night that starts to chainsaw, so you pee extra, forget paying extra. I mean, it would be bananas. You got to have somebody. I mean, I don't know. I would not want to be a well-endowed blonde chick.
Well, it turns out it's going to be on April 13th and 14th, and it actually features special guest Adrienne King, who was in the movie. And the tickets start at $135, but they do have a VIP experience with her also for people that are 21 and over. That includes like dinner and breakfast and a couple extra things. Maybe that's the part. Maybe you have to buy the VIP to be murdered. I don't know. But the cool thing is the way they're doing the tickets. You can't just go buy tickets. You actually have to go to their website and you fill out a form saying that you want to buy tickets.
Right.
Then once they get to a certain date, it doesn't say which date it is, I'm sure it says on the website, they'll do a lottery where they choose people and offer them tickets.
Oh, I wish they did that for Pearl Jam tickets.
I'm telling you. And so once they choose your name, it says on March 5th. When they choose your name on March 5th, they'll give you 24 hours to buy your tickets. If you don't buy your tickets within 24 hours, they'll pick somebody else.
Where's this at?
It's at Camp Crystal Lake, which is located near the Delaware Water Gap in Hardwick, New Jersey.
New Jersey?
Yes.
I never would have thought that Camp
Never
Crystal
would have
Lake
thought it was in New Jersey.
I would always picture like somewhere out in Appalachia, or somewhere like Arkansas.
Well, all I can say is if you win and you get tickets, don't go and be promiscuous.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what it was trying to teach us. It did a terrible job.
It did.
But I believe those movies were obviously trying to teach you not to have sex.
Yeah, all those 80s slasher flicks.
But I mean, some people lived. So,
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of like, you may live.
That looks like so much fun, and
Yeah.
not everybody dies.
Not everybody dies. It's a little bit messy. It's just like a normal date. But, who's going to love this? Not the sex part, but my son. Cody,
Yes.
man, he would absolutely eat this up. I mean,
He's a huge horror movie
oh
fan.
my God, huge horror movie fan. Doesn't sum it up. I dare you to find something that he doesn't have a conversation piece on about horror or doesn't own, or he's a fanatic of horror. And when I was a kid, the horror was just so you could see the boobs.
Right.
And
that's all slasher flicks are for, really.
Yeah, I mean, because the movies were really scary, like in the 70s.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You can't find a movie from the 70s. It just that music, that you know what I mean?
Right.
It's just something about the music was all real weird and just creepy, and then the acting was just all like, oh, hello, I mean, just very, I don't know what happened here, but it was, and they had the narrators, it was on a cold night that John and Martha first, plunged into
It made
the
it seem
darkness
real, like a
of worshiping
documentary.
the devil. Little did they know from worshiping the devil as fun little teens, that it would turn into this sex fest or whatever. But movies were really scary, and it was even like the way they filmed it. I don't know. It was just, everything looked real, and the narrator and again, that music, it was so freaking scary,
Right.
And sometime in the 60s, they were kind of campy, and toward the end of the 60s, like the first Romero, Dawn of the Living Dead,
Right.
that was scary as crap. That one really physically bothered me. Two things in it bothered me. The little chick with the scissors that kills her mom, and you could hear the
Oh, God.
and the fact that the guy makes it through the whole night, and then he's standing up in the window at the end of the next day, right? And those stupid county mountie cops are out there, and they're like, "Oh, there's another one, sir," and they kill him.
They just shoot him.
Yeah, and you just like that was
That is disturbing.
I think
That's disturbing on another level.
it is. But that takes me away from the fact of my reason that I loved 80 slasher flicks.
Right.
So I didn't love them because of the flicks.
Oh.
Didn't really care about the flicks at all. It was the fact that when you wanted to see boobs when you were a young adolescent boy, you had a hard time with doing that back then, because there
Right.
wasn't ready internet.
Right.
So we had to be crafty. You had Sears catalogs, and whenever those showed up, it was like Christmas because, you had the lingerie section. And you had the once a year Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition.
Right.
I still have my Kathy Ireland one in my wrestling magazine box. Yeah, it's in there. It's like I wouldn't touch it, but it's in there. Then
rubber gloves or something.
And you had your horror movies because every good slasher flick was all boobs and blood. Yeah.
And if you showed your boobs, you got killed.
Yeah. So the thing was, when you'd go to the movie store and you rent your movies for the weekend, you'd get these, and they're like, "Oh, look at that kid. He's really into horror movies. He's really into slasher films." It's like, yeah, I love them. That's not the. I could probably tell you the minute, like the minute and the second that you need to go to find a certain like nude scene in some of these 80s movies.
That's funny.
It was. Come on, it was just the way it was. But needless to say, very good, awesome weekend. My God, wouldn't that be fun?
I never watched those movies when I was young. I didn't like horror movies when I was younger.
You could go to the bathroom and lift your shirt up. You had no reason to watch them.
Of course not. Of course not. I like more intelligent thriller horror movies that really scare you and mess with your mind.
Yeah, well, like The Others.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I like that one.
See, now they don't even have to go that deep into the horror part, and it's a really good movie. It's a mind bender. But I don't know. I guess my favorite one's obviously Hammer Horror, but I have an affinity for some of those scary crapping 70s ones. So even if you go back and watch some of the TV movies from then, like Salem's Lot.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's terrifying. It's a TV movie, but something just about the music and the acting, and it's there's something about it,
right?
Where it's just like,
well, it's like The Exorcist.
Oh my God,
that one's terrifying. But I think that's terrifying because it's real.
Yeah, but the thing is, except for the turning the head around, probably.
Right. But
it's terrifying because it's something so taboo, but the way they did it, the way they were filmed, and there wasn't CGI. No. So these guys are really getting covered in pea soup.
Yeah.
The acting was so much better. Like I think people were more classically trained back then, and instead of the way they're just picked off the internet now. Everything now is supposed to be so much better, but I don't think it is. I think these little sets, these little cheesy sets, even rubber, wolf mask or whatever back in the day, to me, it was so much better. Even if you go back, I go back like Bride of Frankenstein. At the very first of Bride of Frankenstein, I think it's 1935, and someone will correct me, and I apologize if I'm wrong on this. Maybe it's 31, I don't know. When you go back to that, there's a woman screaming at the first of it, and it's like a pub scene or something, and she screams really. But even then, the acting and like the Invisible Man, the original Invisible Man from Universal, Lon Chaney Jr., his worry and everything about what's going on and trying to explain to people, I love all that stuff because the acting was so good. It's like there's just something different. Something's been lost in a lot of the big Hollywood horror flicks and stuff. But with all that said, whether you are a well-endowed blonde that wants to get killed while you're having coitus or not, just to say you did it and go to Camp Crystal Lake. Yes. And I hope they have some kid.
Just as some kid coming out of the lake.
Oh, in the lake. Just.
Well, you have just as good a chance to get tickets as anybody else.
Yeah.
So that's what's awesome.
Absolutely.
About it. Yes.
All right.
All right. Well, that's all my news.
Well, very cool. Well, all right. Well, that was a heck of a whopper of a show. We kind of went off on left field on almost every single story.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
It's par for the course, right?
We brought it back, so it's all good.
Yeah, we did. And it was good. And old Grandma Hare to Camp Crystal Lake and the Boobadonks, and it all went really good. So, actually enjoyed a lot of the stories today. Some crazy stories at the same time, and
definitely a lot of things I'm going to have to follow up on.
A lot of follow up.
Yeah,
there's definitely a lot of follow up. But if you want to follow up, you could probably find it on ParanormalSideshow.com. That's your address to find everything. Follow Facebook.com/ParanormalSideshow. Follow away on the Twitter. It's at Sideshow97. Please follow us there. Actually, follow us. On Instagram, hot follow us damn. It's John and Stacey Edwards. YouTube.com/Paranormal Sideshow. It's about that time, kids. We're going to be starting that vlog machine back up and looking all hot and sexy, and then we'll turn it on ourselves.
As long as we can stay away from that beach pizza.
Oh, the beach pizza. Oh, you dirty, dirty girl. You should have said that. You should have said that.
I hadn't thought about that since the beginning of the show.
Hashtag Mommy Did It Tom. iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, which is about to take over iHeartRadio. It goes back and forth. If you listen to us, we love you. If you don't listen to us, you don't even hear us right now, so it doesn't matter if we love you or not. But it is a damn shame that you're not listening to us. So if you have people in your life that do not listen because you haven't shown it to them, shame, we know your name. Please let them know about the show. And you know what? I got a really cool letter this week from this girl from Alaska, and her father actually listened to the show and turned her on to it. So cool. I just want to say to you, Dad, thank you very much for turning your daughter on to us. I apologize about all the horror sex that we just talked about. But, other than that, we'll try to be as wholesome as possible.
Yes, we'll try.
But no, we love all you guys. Thank you so much for the support. We really appreciate it. And scientists are still baffled. For my lovely wife, Stacey, my name's John. So long from the Sideshow.
Good night.